Hello and welcome to the show. Now, when it comes to performance cars, 1,000 horsepower is, even today, still quite the impressive goal. Yes, we do now have hypercars and whatnot that are getting on for 1,500, 2,000 horsepower. It gets a little bit silly when you start looking at some of the really high-end, crazy electric hybrid stuff. However, still, 1,000 horsepower is pretty damn ridiculous. I mean, it was a number reserved for only the most crazy of modified cars, full-on race cars. I think it wasn't until the Bugatti Veyron and Ultima Aero we started seeing 1,000 horsepower in production road cars. However, in the world of Forza, you can make plenty of vehicles have this power number. There's plenty of upgrades, engine swaps, a whole host of cars can get that sort of power figures if you so wish. But what if we were to restrict the vehicles? What if we were to go racing with cars that had to have more than 1,000 horsepower, but they couldn't be higher than C-Class? Now, Forza rates the cars based on a bunch of stats, including acceleration, top speed, and handling, braking, all of that sort of thing. Now, you can get 1,000 horsepower into a C-Class car, but you compromise massively. My fastest C-Class car is a 200 horsepower Lancia Delta. It has good grip. To get 1,000 horsepower, you're going to be in a car that doesn't have good grip, or good brakes, or it's going to be a handful and very, very difficult to drive cars, like this Challenger, for example. So, we were going to get a field of these cars together and see what might transpire when we go racing with them. So, here we are at the first race with the rather ridiculous cars. Now, there is a good variety of vehicles that can get 1,000 horsepower in C-Class. Yes, there are a couple of muscle cars, but there's all sorts of other things, from a Vandura to a Capri, there's a Mark II Jag in here, there's a front-wheel drive Civic, all with 1,000 horsepower in C-Class. I am starting in, well, the very middle of the pack with the Challenger. Now, this is expected to be half decent around here. I mean, none of these are easy to drive. In many ways, it's not the traction that's the biggest concern, it's the braking that's going to go on, because these will be going phenomenally fast, and, well, certainly for me at least, I don't have upgraded brakes. I can't. The PI was literally all used for engine parts. I had just about enough for a gearbox, so I had more than a 4-speed and could extend the gear ratios massively. And then after that, yeah, I was out of upgrades. So my car is mostly a 60s muscle car with 1,000 horsepower from a V10. I think it's a Viper V10 that's gone in this one. It is a selection of big American cars at the front of the field, just how the grid has worked out this time around. It is the Hudson. Oh, it's going to lead us. I'm sorry, there was just not enough of a space for us to go. In fact, it's 4 American cars that lead the way at the moment. There's a big slide from those. The Hudson or the Mercury? I can never remember the difference between the pair of them from the back. Oh, we're all going to slide through there. Not intentional squeezing, but there is just no space. Scotty had a really good run, but there's just nowhere to go at the moment. There's a lot of sliding. Oh, there goes Chris with something not American. Something very British. I think it's a C-Type. Has gone to the lead with a huge, huge slide through all of that. Now, of course, everything's rear-wheel drive. As soon as you start making... If I put this to all-wheel drive, it ends up as mid-A class. Not that I'd want it like that either, but it does end up as mid-A class. There is technically one vehicle you could get away with all-wheel drive, and that's the Gurkha, which technically does fit these regulations. However, unless you are at a very tiny circuit, is woefully, woefully slow here. It handles way better than everything, but is woefully bad. So that's why we don't have that here. We have got the lead of the race with the... I think that's a Mercury behind us. I think there's a different grille to the Hudson. He's not got the moustache of the Hudson, so that's how I see it anyway. The Jag is going to be good in terms of straight line. There's a few much more aerodynamic cars than these big barges that some of us have, although it's weirdly, so I have no handling upgrades. Some cars are running on race suspension here, but weirdly the Challenger is actually very, very good in the turns. It's probably one of the better handling cars here. That being said, I do know there's an AE86 around the place that is very fast in terms of lap time. That has just been buried in the pack. It's now at the 5th actually, and Peg has got it too. That is a car I'm worried about, but with this race, if you start down the back of the field with just the time it takes to get through the traffic, and the difficulty it is getting through the traffic when everybody's struggling, you will probably have a tough time working your way all the way to the front of the field. We've got to be careful that Ninetales... It's really easy. If you misposition your car into a corner, it's easy to lose a second or two. I mean, more so than even a normal race, because these things are so fiddly. They're so difficult to get positioned right time and time again, that if you miss a braking point because you're going very fast and don't stop very well, that can cost you a huge chunk of time. Like there, for example, I was actually a little bit late on the brakes, and it throws me out for the whole sequence of corners here. I'm expecting Ninetales up the inside. Whether that thing's got the grip to make it work, I don't know. Indeed, yeah, I mean, I just couldn't get my car turned, and it was... If I take that tight line, I'd have been so slow. Who has better top end between me and that car? I do not know. Dare I have a huge dive down towards turn 1? I probably shouldn't. I do have quite good brakes on this. How much is for sure? The Jag is still in second. As we look around, the outside is not a place you want to be in these cars. Can I duck underneath through here? Huge sliding going on from the Mercury. A little bit of leaning from me there. It still tries to cover the inside. Well, we're knocking on the door. I mean, we're basically crowbarring the door open at that particular moment in time. It has not worked, though. We will fall back into line for now. Again, there's an opportunity there. There was no massive crowbarring that time around. We just got the drive. We just got the drive we needed. Oh, but the car's going to fire back. We give it plenty of space on the inside. I don't know whether Ninetales got the checkpoint or not. Been very, very close. If that did get the checkpoint, well, they haven't got reset, so I'm going to say they probably did. I'm surprised. It looked like it was across the inside, but well done. Come on, one more lap. One more lap to fight back past. I think I have a slightly faster car if I don't make any mistakes, but it's always that don't make a mistake bit that is the tough part. Here we go. Oh, that crest across towards the start-finish line. Has Ninetales got it stopped nicely? Yes. Have I got it stopped nicely? Indeed. That's about the best I could get through turn 1. We attack the grass a little bit through all of this. Can I find a way underneath the Mercury at any of these corners? I mean, I want to see that car sliding. We are right on the bumper. This is where I'm probably strongest, but I'm not close enough to get past. Maybe we try the same manoeuvre we did last time here. Is Ninetales going to be wise to it? Will Ninetales be wise to it? Will Ninetales be able to keep the car where it needs to be here? Yes, much better than last lap around. I'm running out of options here as we go up over the crest. I'm too far back to have a big dive unless there is a mistake from the car ahead. I don't think I can have a dive anywhere through here. No, we blew the chance we could have maybe got done last lap around, although there is a little gap here now. We've got to the inside. It's going to be a drag race. Who has got the traction out of this one? Oh, it's going to be really close. Come on, Dodge. Oh, I wasn't expecting that to work. I mean, I'll take it. It's the run to the finish line. We are going to win. Hopefully the game doesn't screw us over with the finishing positions. It did. We're going to ignore that. I took victory in round 1 ahead of Ninetales. It is the Hudson. I thought it had a different front end. I'm an idiot. But either way, we beat the Hudson. We took victory. The Toyota got up to a third position, sorry. I got down to the 105. That was a good final lap. I think we were having a good final lap, considering we're battling as well. Yeah. That was a bloody good race. That was a bloody good race indeed, in vehicles that are on the borderline of drivability. So, up next, we stay with... Well, we're going to be on the bigger circuits of the game, basically. So we're going around touring the fastest, well, I say the largest tracks we can with these vehicles in the hope we might be able to stay under some sort of control. The Asmore Heritage Circuit is the next venue. Now, while it is a longer track, some of these higher speed corners are going to be sketchy. I've actually got, both me and Knight has been very kind with the starting positions. The car to watch out for is the Toyota in 5th. I mean, to be fair, there are quite a lot of cars that can set some pretty good lap times around in this field. It will often depend on if you've got clean air or not, honestly. Clean air makes a very big difference with these. Who is the best off the line? I have absolutely no idea here. Some vehicles have got upgraded tyres. I mean, everyone's going to be on their standard tyre compound. Nothing can get away with better than that and still have this level of power in C-Class. That is the compromise you're going to have to make. I've been a little bit cautious on this first run. Ninetales has been much braver with the Hudson. It's not a bad idea, actually, try and get past the Vandura before we go out of ghost mode. We timed it about right. Oh, lots of understeer. I'm going to guess probably the rest of the pack, the rest of the field are going to do a similar thing. We're going to go to exactly where we left off from last time around, with me looking for a way past Ninetales. Now, don't put a wheel on the dirt. That's going to be a really key thing. do not put a wheel on the dirt. It's difficult enough just getting power down. I say that, I mean, we're in 4th gear here and we are full throttle, although it's sketchy around some of these, like, in normal cars that's not even a corner, but in these it is, and that's something you're going to have to bear in mind. What might just be normally like a kink in a straight is actually now suddenly a massive deal with a car like this. What is normally flat out and never thought about, hell, like this corner coming up here, very rarely have I ever thought about this as a corner with vehicles, but in a Challenger, it is a big ask all of a sudden. There's a lot of wobbling around from side to side. I actually think got airtime across the start-finish line there. That's not good at all. We are a couple of seconds clear of the Toyota, but I do think that might handle better in some regards. I've had a really bad start to this lap as well, which hasn't helped. We have let Ninetales get away into the distance. Let's try and use the speed of the Dodge where I can. We'll take out the fence. Ninetales has understeered massively up through here. Yeah, there are some corners that I do better than the Hudson, and there are some corners where I do not. It just really depends on if I can make the most of the corners I do better on and not lose too much time. Again, mistakes are probably going to play a critical part. That Toyota is not going away either. It's something I have to be aware of. It is much lighter than my car. My car is £3,500. It's basically, I mean, the engine swap I think might be slightly lighter, but it is basically an entirely stock Challenger with a Viper engine in it. We are getting caught as well by the Toyota, so I'm going to have to be mindful here. Now you might think, why not just stick the car in 4th gear or something out of these corners, and while that minimises wheel spin to an extent, might also not be all that fast. So this car here certainly seems to not have the worst problem with traction. I can't turn. I know that was me taking a defensive line, and it's just I couldn't slow it down to block that inside. I think that Toyota is going to go chasing off. Well, it's going to maybe run out of laps to go chasing off after Ninetales. It's got way more turn-in than I do, and that's the thing with it. Although I'm quite good through there. That seems to be one corner where I do have. I would say possibly Challenger is a little more stable than the Toyota, I would imagine. But at the end of the day, we're all on quite rubbish tyres, small tyres, and the Toyota has just a lot less weight to move around. Do we outrun it in a straight line? I would imagine probably not. Now, a lot of these cars, I mean, the rule was they had to have over 1,000 horsepower. It didn't say how much more than 1,000 horsepower. So some of these may be running, well, the Funko engine, if you have it in a Rebel, which we don't have here, can have 1,700, but there are probably a few cars running 1,500. Once you get past, like, the difference between 1,000 and 1,500 horsepower when we're dealing with this level of traction and so on is very minimal. Like, 1,500 horsepower is going to get you so little amount faster, if at all. It might even just make it more difficult to drive. So I'd expect most to be hovering around as close to the 1,000 horsepower mark as possible. Mine certainly is. It's about 1,060 horsepower. I can't. Turn 1 has been my Achilles heel around this track. I cannot get the front end turned in. It's just, yeah. I don't know whether maybe I'm braking a little too late down there still, but that's where I'm losing all of my time, and I'm good everywhere else. It's annoying. Driver error, I suspect. Oh, there we go. I mean, that's about spot on through there. We just, I think our wheels almost left the road. They maybe just lightly brushed the grass, and that was it. And here we go, back onto the straight. So yeah, if I could get turn 1 right, I think I could match the 2 cars ahead of me. We have absolutely run away from the rest of the field. Gliska's doing the best of the rest with the Jag, which is, it's nice to see actually. I love the Mark II Jag. Sometimes struggle to make it work in Forza games, but it's doing well here. I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting the Jag to be running quite so well. Leathercaps had the Buick stuck in traffic possibly. Certainly is a little further down in the field. We will run out of the last corner towards the line. Yeah, I couldn't get turn 1 right, and then we all sat a little bit in no man's land throughout that. Let's have a look at the lap times. Yeah, if I could get turn 1 better, that sums it up. And I bet most of that second was lost at turn 1. Us 3 were very much in a, I say, well, not quite a class of our own, but we were a little faster than the rest. Looks like a fantastic battle went on over 4th position in that one. And there we go. It's a top 3 for the Challenger. Can't complain too much. So, for our third race with these cars, we've come to the Lakehurst Copse circuit. Now, again, there are a couple of longer straights for these rather ridiculous machines to stretch their legs, but there are a couple of very nasty corners. Turn 1 is of particular concern. It's easy to miss checkpoints through there at the best of times with much more suitable cars. There is also, along the back straight, a very fast left-hander, which some high-grip cars you'll be flat out. Normally in most C-Class cars you might be flat out. I guess it depends on how crazy you've gone, but these are a very, very different prospect. I'm also a lot more buried in the pack this time around. The Vandura's on pole, or certainly towards the front, once again. I mean, Ninetales are buried a little bit more, and Pega is also all the way down the back with the Toyota, so we're going to have to work our way through traffic a little bit better. We're going to see how some different cars are faring. The Woody is quite wide through the first corner. I'll make the most of that opportunity. Try and move up. Well, you know what? It's a position. We're up to 8th now. That's not too bad. We are all out of ghost mode, so we didn't really be able to make too much of an advantage through that. Oh, I've got a big twitch. I'm really struggling to get my car pointed the right way again. As I said, if things go wrong with these cars, it is very, very difficult to... it's very difficult to catch them. You can catch them, you just lose so much time if you do have to start fighting them, if you do have to start trying to catch them. Side by side here is super, super sketchy. I give plenty of space on the outside. I think someone has already cleared the rocks out through there. We get past Liam. Can I throw it up the inside of Leathercap here? We make it stop. Oh, we also get helped. There goes Impego with the Toyota. He's going to get everybody through there. That's annoying. Would have preferred to have kept that car behind me, but there's not so much that I can do at this moment in time. The Jag has got to the lead. Will we have our first non-American winner of one of these races? I'm going to try and follow Impega past the Vandura. Indeed we do. That's sensible enough, really. You just wait for the door to be opened, follow the car through. Yeah, you see, there are some points. Oh, that's a... I know, absolutely no. It's so difficult. It's just your cars move around so much that trying to go to the outside of somebody is risky. I'd hoped Impego was going to have enough grip, but that thing's on, I think, like 195s or so. Such tiny tyres on that car and so much power. It's going to move around a lot. There's some more heel spin from the cars ahead. Can we do anything with the Challenger around this circuit? I don't know. We've got a little bit of clean air with Impega just that little bit further away. Impega's going to soon run into trouble. Into trouble. I mean, maybe Truffles, but more likely to be the trouble of a Capri. And I say Capri and the Gremlin fight, and they actually sort themselves out a little bit through that. This is where we got past last time. If we can make sure we get our front end turned in, that would be helpful, which we do. It's side by side for the lead. Now, this is good news for us in as far as Ninetales can't actually get away here. The Gremlin might have pinned Impega in a little bit here. Unfortunately, it might now pin me in. It kind of depends on... We're going to do the follow the orange car up through the field a little bit. I mean... Oh, it's going to be 3 wide in 1,000 horsepower C-Class cars, and I get pushed into the fence. I mean, it was ambitious, but yeah, you know, I think Impega got wheel spin at the wrong time and just ends up nudging. 3 wide is probably a dangerous idea, really, let's face it. We've got a couple more laps. Ninetales, I think, has got to the lead and will possibly be able to escape now if the rest of us fight. The Jag just doesn't quite have the speed to really hold on with the likes of the Hudson. Impega is now clear of the Gremlin, who's had a huge slide coming up the hill, although so am I now. It's just wiggles from everybody as they desperately try to get power down in any of these cars. The Gremlin's actually got some serious pace about it, I'll give it that. May have more power, although as I said, it's very difficult to use more power in these cars. Impega's now getting held up by the Jag. And this is what I said about traffic. If you get stuck in traffic, it's super difficult to do too much. Scotty is going to the inside of Chris. I'm trying to go to the inside. Let's not do this 3 wide again, folks. I know how this ended up last time for me. We're still 3 wide. I'm still not giving up on passing the AMC through here. We are now past the green machine. Am I going to be able to find a way past the Jag? I don't know. So the Jag has got top-end advantage on most of us by virtue of aerodynamics. We've actually got a very good run out of that final corner. We've got a really, really good run out of the final corner, but where the hell am I going to go with it? We're not going to quite get alongside the Toyota. I'd have to have a big lift because I was going to understeer towards the wall there. The Capri is doing well up in second. Can't quite match the Hudson for the pace up at the front. The Toyota's not had a good turn 1 and 2. Can I duck underneath it somewhere here? Don't miss a checkpoint, though. We might be able to put the nose of the muscle car up the inside. The issue I might have is, can I match it for acceleration? down here. Where is it? It's still somewhere around. Come on, find some traction, Challenger. We can get another podium. We can do it, maybe. The Capri's long gone. More laps, maybe we could catch it, but we're far too much back here. Well, we kind of have to, really, at this stage of the race, let's face it. Oh, no. It's too fast. It's too fast through there. I cannot get my car away from that wall either. It's just I can't do it. I don't know whether I was going wide on my own or whether the nudge put us wide. Either way, I think it was just a little too much speed going into that corner as the cars ahead are doing battle. Maybe we can get back past the Jag. I know the corner the Jag's going to hate, which is where my Challenger has been fed. In fact, where we go, and almost all of our overtakes have gone on, has been down here. In fact, we might even get this done before. Yeah, the Jag actually has to yield because it's on such a bad line through there that we can get that pass. We can get that pass done. It is going to be a 4th place for us. It's a good race again. We are fighting a lot. We are fighting a lot in the traffic. Yeah. Whether I could have matched the Hudson for speed, that is a very, very good question. Might have struggled a little bit around that circuit. Regardless, though, there was a lot of fun. We fought valiantly, almost got a podium. Not quite in the end. I don't think that track suited the Toyota quite as much. Yeah, these things are quite something to drive, that's for sure. So, before we finished with these wacky cars, it only seemed right to go and take them for a drag race, but we did want to go for a little bit more than, well, I say quarter mile, half mile. I want to go for a longer drag race, basically, to see what might happen, and that is going to be the motorway one. Now, admittedly, I balls up the settings for this first race in that it was still snowing and it was night time, which isn't the greatest for visibility, but we were going to give it a go regardless. Now, of course, these cars are very, very powerful. In C-Class, you wouldn't normally be going quite this quickly. It was going to be interesting to see what was going to pan out. I was expecting the Jag, the C-Type, to go very, very well. Just aerodynamics. I mean, you can see there's a van, there's the Woody, they're both very boxy. The Hudson and my Challenger aren't exactly what you would call aerodynamic machines. The difficulty, though, with this drag race was, well, the corners. It isn't just a straight-up drag race around here. No, we have got turns, and it's this next corner coming up that was the problem, shall we say, if we were going to get any sort of consistent, reliable results. Because you can't be flat out, really, through here. And cars that start on the right-hand side get a massive, massive advantage because we could just jump the corner. Basically, cars that started on the left were in quite a lot of trouble. So this first race, things actually went relatively well for me in the Challenger. We would run up across the line. We'd end up in, well, kind of second. There's always the desync that goes on with... The drag racing's terrible, really, in this game. Yeah. Either way, didn't get a terrible result for the Challenger on this particular one. However, it was predominantly because of the side of the grid that we started on. Results further down were a little bit jumbled up. I think there was a crash for the Buick and the Toyota further back, as they still haven't got across the line in that one. Things like the Vandura, things like the Woody struggle with their lack of aerodynamics. Even with all of this power, I say we've all got a lot of power in here, so even with all the power, they were going to be in trouble. We went to run it again with a little bit more visibility to see if we could get some, we'll see what sort of results we would get if we tried repeating, and this was the problem that we were going to run into with this. We wanted a longer drag strip than just, the straightforward bloody airport one or the festival one even, but this is not really the place to go running with these cars because basically mistakes would get made and you could end up having half the field in trouble. So I started on the left-hand side of the road this time around. The Gremlin was definitely faster than the Challenger, I'll say that much, as was the Toyota. I knew this was never really going to be my car's forte, shall we say. I actually have less power, while most of the time 1.5, or more than 1,000 horsepower didn't make much difference. On circuit racing, here it would make a little bit of difference, but it was the corner. We see it was Leathercat with a Buick got things wrong through there. Someone else ended up in a signpost. The Jag that had been so very fast in the first one had got into trouble. I got into trouble as well, and then that put me directly in front of the Jag. I was trying to get out of its way. The Jag ends up off the road. It was just a messy time. It was a messy, scruffy time, and no real firm results came out of that were of a massive amount of use. The Jag was probably got the highest top speed. The C-Type had the highest top speed. The Gremlin was very, very fast. The rest was a bit of a mixed bag of who survived the corners. Yeah. basically. So the drag race, well, it was a bit inconclusive. It was conclusive as far as it was very difficult to get these sort of things down the motorway consistently and not trip over one another, pretty much. So there we go. Yeah, the drag race didn't quite go according to plan. The racing, though, was very interesting. I mean, as far as conclusions go with all of this, there were 3 cars that were probably the fastest. And that was the Hudson, it was my Challenger, and it was the A86. Those were the 3 fastest cars. And depending on the circuit, each one would work. Maybe overall the Hudson was a little fast. The problem is traffic could play such a big part with this as well. If you got buried in the pack, it was so very difficult to work your way forward. Certainly those 3 were the quickest. However, there were still some other quick cars. The C-Type was very fast in the straight line. The Capri was actually not too bad at all. The Mark II Jag could get in the fight as well a little bit. So yeah, it's a different kind of racing. It's mad. You can make 1,000 horsepower C-Class cars. They are awkward to drive. You can still have a lot of fun racing them when you get some similar sort of sped cars put together. And the Challenger did well, you know. I'm not disappointed at all. Not disappointed at all with the Challenger. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.